Younger Dryas Black Mats. The Younger Dryas roughly is when the newcomers deposited the so-called Younger Dryas Black Mats, which were nothing else than the slacks from the blast furnaces of their extensive metallurgic industries. Obviously, these slacks were deposited on top of the from the extinctions left over human and megafauna fossils. These fossils exclusively under the more recently deposited slacks would include what we call Clovis-like humans in the Americas, but also Cro-Magnon, their descendants, and/or follow-up people across Eurasia. This would make that fossils including of megafauna and Clovis and Cro-Magnon etc. stone tools would be under and not be mixed with the slacks, which are the later wrongly recognized as meteorite effects and called Younger Dryas Black Mats. All this happened around the Younger Dryas. Prehistoric R1 also in Siberia. Similar prehistoric Americans also entered Asia from the Americas. Similarity was detected between Haplogroup R1 subclades found in North America and those found in Siberia, suggesting prehistoric migration. Consensus wrongly suggested the found prehistoric R1 people to be the ancestors of all Native Americans. Consensus suggested that R1 migrated from Asia to the Americas, and for a while were supposed to be founders of the Native Americans who are Q, and next, quite recently, science proved it had been migration of R1 from the Americas to Asia, this so for a number of scientific and DNA-related reasons. One of the reasons is that the Native American DNA and Haplogroup Q is older than the prehistoric R1 found in Asia, and otherwise absent outside of the Americas. Obviously this was and still is an essential paradigm for consensus, and the new facts hardly appeared in the media. As in most all other cases of proof against out of Africa, the new facts hardly appear in the media, and go on lingering amongst the public and many unaware scientists alike, despite hindering all progress in someone rewriting the human history. Haplogroup Q is older than Haplogroup R. Haplogroup P, the common ancestor of both Q and R, is estimated to have emerged around 50,000 to 70,000 years ago, and Haplogroup Q emerged earlier than Haplogroup R. Among Indigenous Americans, this root R1, M173, is now the most common haplogroup. As expected, this is made controversial by consensus, because it confirms all the ancestral markers in pointing to out of Americas, instead of out of Africa, and totally upends consensus. This also is because R1a and R1b represent 60% of all Europeans and all Western Eurasians. As seen on your screen, David Reich, 2021, the four-group subject of this video are related to R1a and R1b, and their foregoing hybrids to prepare the ground, suddenly appeared in Europe and Western Eurasia, this before 8,000 BP years ago, and ongoing until 4,500 years ago. The facts tell us that Europe was invaded by, and replaced by Amerinds until 4,500 years ago, during the Neolithic, and that Europeans are and always were Amerinds. But we still negate all this while all ancient and modern DNA, as well as all ancestral markers prove it, this proving got stronger, and more paradigms for consensus out of Africa appeared since we managed to sequence the needed DNA of Europeans, as well as the modern and ancient DNA of Amerindians. As a consequence of the radical turnover of all native Europeans until 4,500 years ago, any out of African or mix between out of Africans and Neanderthals DNA would have been wiped out at this point, just as any other native Europeans was wiped out at this point. The few modern humans that lived in the supposed period of Neanderthal interbreeding and effectively carrying the supposed Neanderthal fraction, that were found fossils of, consequently would not make it either. This is proven by the fact that even their DNA is not traced in modern Europeans. Ranis 13 human neander interbred extinct. In 2024, the discovery of 13 human bone fragments in Ilsenhöhle Cave, near Ranis, Germany, revealed the oldest known Homo sapiens remains found so far north. Dating back around 45,000 years, these fragments belong to 6 individuals, including a mother, daughter, and distant cousins, and supposedly showed evidence of interbreeding with Neanderthals. Neanderthal fossils were found in the same location. Apart from this find of Homo sapiens together with Neanderthals, yet other Homo sapiens remains in Europe were discovered in Barcho-Kiro Cave in Bulgaria. These findings date back over 45,000 years. The findings include bone objects similar to those produced by late Neanderthals, suggesting potential cultural exchange between the two groups. The DNA of these oldest known Homo sapiens that provingly had shared the same spaces or environment with Neanderthals is not found in modern Europeans. This makes clear that, as should be expected, they did not make it. Most probably they did not make it through the radical Amerindian population turnover events and replacement subject of this video. This is the ultimate proof that there had been no interbreeding, or that the effects of the supposed inbreeding has nothing to do with the DNA of modern Europeans, consequently also has nothing to do with the supposed human and Neanderthal interbreeding DNA fraction.